In January 2025, I picked up running. At 107 kilograms and one of my heaviest weights, I could barely run a 5k in under 30 minutes. Fast forward on 6 months, and I recently crossed that 5k line in 19 minutes and 50 seconds. There was no gimmicks, there was no fancy gear, apart from shoes, to be fair. It was just smart, structured training. And in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how I did it so you can smash your 5k goal, whatever that is. It all started with me training for the Manchester Marathon. Obviously, being new to running, I didn't just dive straight into high mileage and big mileage. I started with just a run-walk strategy. And this was just to ease my body into that consistent training and load of running and walking. And the way I did this was working my way up to 3 to 4 runs per week, and aiming for about 10 to 15 miles per week. And eventually we moved all of our runs to just be full runs without any walking breaks. And then roll on to April. By peak week, I hit around 33 miles before I did that marathon. And the key here was just consistency. I didn't really chase too much speed. It was just kind of building that base and getting myself to that start line. And then, yes, you've heard it all before. Zone 2 training was predominantly one of the key parts to me hitting that 5k PB. So I listened to ultra runner David Roche, who talks about how most people get their zone 2 wrong. They have it too low, so they go out running thinking, I'm basically walking, I'm basically not doing anything. And this wasn't the case for me. Because I used that advice, my zone 2, the max of zone 2 was 155 beats per minute. So predominantly in my zone 2 runs were around 148 to 150 beats per minute that I was aiming for. But I cannot stress this enough, I use this as a guideline. I wasn't checking the watch non-stop and making sure I was there. I was just saying to myself, how does this feel? Can I hold a conversation? Does this feel heavy? Paying attention to my body after those runs and recovery. If I felt like it was too quick and my recovery the next day was kind of hindered from that as well, then obviously it wasn't a zone 2 run. And that really made sure I was on the right track. And because of this, I spent about 80% of my running, the good old 80-20 rule, in that zone 2 way. And the reason why this is so good is, yes, it improves that aerobic capacity. It also improves your fat utilization and obviously helps with recovery. So yes, it's not the most flashy, but working in zone 2 really does work, and it is backed by the science. Spending that time in zone 2 is going to help you build that aerobic engine that you are going to need when you are trying to go flat out for that 5k effort. So when it's time to go fast, your body is ready to handle the speed that you are about to put on it. I will say though, if you are completely new into running, I think you can stay away from this and just kind of go out there and run and just really pay attention to, how is this feeling? You know, I think we can get so caught up in that heart rate data and really focus on it too much that you just miss out on the whole joy of actually running. So if you are relatively new to it, just go out there and just run. Don't pound yourself into the ground every single run that you do, and then just enjoy a slow plod. So this next one is probably one of the things that made a massive impact for me, improving my speed and hitting that 5k time, and that is strides. Strides are something that I would do at the end a lot of my runs, but predominantly hill strides. 4 times 30-second hill strides, for example. So on an easy day, we'd finish off with that. What this means for me is that they built a better leg turnover, helped with that running economy, and also built more power into my legs. And the reason why we do it on hills is because it just reduces that risk of injury. You have much less chance of pulling a hamstring than you would do, say, doing that on a flat ground. And this isn't something that you need to overdo. It can just be at the end of an easy run, adding in those 4 times 20 seconds, 5 times 20 seconds, whatever it may be, and just kind of getting that speed. You're looking for about 90 to 95% of a max effort. So when I did finish the Manchester Marathon in April in 3 hours and 58 minutes, I then moved into a pure speed block for 6 weeks, where at the end of that 6 weeks, we're going to go for that 5k PB. Third one done. That's what we're here for. 6 weeks. 5k PB. Now at the start of the year, I was running a 5k in 28 minutes and 30 seconds. At this time, at the end of the marathon, I was running a 5k at about 23:30, 23:45. That was, kind of the effort that I was at. So when I set out for this, it was about going, okay, can I go sub 21? And then at the end of the 6-week speed block, that's when I kind of started to shift over to that sub 20 because of the way that training had been going for me. But moving into this 6-week speed block, what this meant for me is I changed my runs from 4 times a week to 5 times a week. And we were also sitting at around 35 miles per week every single week. So in that Manchester Marathon block, we peaked at 33. I then worked my way back up to be in mid-30s consistently, even when going for a 5k PB. What did that training actually look like? Well, it was structured. We had interval training, tempo runs, 5k specific sessions, a lot of hill repeats, and then obviously easy runs with your long runs as well. And I think every one of my workouts finished also with hill strides. So let's say if you go and do 5 times 5 minutes, 3 times 3 minutes, whatever it is that we were doing, you'd finish off with 5 times 1 minute hills, 6 times 30-second hills. And that extra stimulus, I think, really helped me in those last few Ks in that 5k effort. And I think I put down a lot of it to that marathon block, which allowed me to have that aerobic base and then build on top of it the speed that I wanted to. So that was something I was very, very grateful for, to transition into that 5k attempt. And then roll on to the end of the 6 weeks, we went to Worcester Pitchcroft Park Run and we ran a 1950. I cannot emphasize enough how the biggest thing for me to hit that target was consistency. I rarely missed a run, and it's fine to miss runs if you know, something happens, that's not a problem. But it was just that consistency time and time again, week after week, getting the runs in, putting the miles on the board, and my body just getting used to running more and more and more, and then at quicker speeds also. So if you can do that, if you can hand on heart, you know, really say that you nailed it, you will hit that 5k PB. To complement this as well, I was also hitting the gym 2 times a week and just predominantly looking to do a lot of lower body exercise with things like bench press, deadlifts, squats, overhead press, that sort of thing as well. Gym work is something that I have been a massive fan of to aid in that running, and obviously that played a part. So let me know how these tips have helped you with your 5k PB down below in the comments, and go out there and absolutely smash it. So you might be wondering, well, you've done that then, what's next? Right now, I'm training for my first ultra marathon, the Fox and Hound 50k, and we are doing a video series on that. So if you want to click here to see how we're getting on, that race is only a few weeks away and I can't wait for it.